Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Mets Get It On. Please go follow and subscribe where you can on YouTube, on Spotify. I need some help. I need some momentum, baby. Been a little bit of time off, but I had to jump back on the ones and twos to try to get the Metsies hot again. And the Mets just lost 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox, dropping their second consecutive series after that series loss to the Yankees as well. We dropped 3 straight games for the first time all season. We've lost our lead in the NL East to the Phillies, who are now up 1.5 games. The Braves have now reached 500 at 24-24. But I'm telling you, folks, this is no time to panic. Have faith. We are still 10 games up at 30-20 on the season. We are still a damn good baseball team. Pete Alonso's hitting near 300. Lindor's hitting for power. Soto will get going. Our pitching has been fantastic. So please do not lose the faith. You gotta believe, baby. We're not going to dwell for too long on this Red Sox series, but I will take you through a little bit of what went down over the course of the last few days. Now, in Game 1, our king, the Ghost Fork Slinger, Kodai Senga, took the loss, moving his record to 4-3 on the season, despite a 1.43 ERA. Nearly impossible to have that 4-3 record with a 1.43 ERA if you think about it. But yeah, he's still been fantastic throughout the season. Kodai, obviously, he doesn't like the cold. It was a cold and windy one at Fenway Park all series long. And unfortunately, he gives up a leadoff double to Jarren Duran. Jarren Duran is a heck of a player, by the way. Kind of a five-tool guy. Power, speed, great outfield defense. Big fan of his. But next batter, Senga walks Rafael Devers. Then Alex Bregman scores Duran with an RBI ground out to second. Later in the inning, Trevor Story reaches on an infield single to score Devers. And then in the second inning, Duran comes back up, triples to right, scoring rookie catcher Carlos Narvaez to give the Red Sox a 3-0 lead. And that was really all they'd need, the way that our offense played in this game and across this series. Tyrone Taylor drove in Francisco Alvarez on an RBI single, but the Mets bats just did not show up in Game 1, and they lost the opener at Fenway 3-1. In Game 2, we had Clay Holmes, who has really been a revelation for us this season. He's on the mound, he gets the start, and he pitched really well. He went 6 innings pitched, gave up 2 earned runs. He's been extremely solid. I think he's still in all-star contention. I feel as comfortable with him starting as any of our guys. But the real drama came in the 3rd inning. Francisco Lindor is stealing second, and Walker Buehler is on the mound. He throws a strike right down the middle. That was called a ball. Lindor is safe into second. It's a terrible call. Lindor is kind of egging on Buehler, and the ump is kind of egging on Buehler, and Buehler goes ballistic and gets ejected from the game alongside manager Alex Cora. Buehler kind of sent out a tweet ripping on Lindor a little bit for trying to force him out of the game, but, you know, that's gamesmanship, man. Lindor's obviously going to try to do that. Supposedly the next day, Lindor and Alex Cora actually went and got breakfast together, as interesting as that is. But yeah, Cora completely downplayed the situation. I think Buehler can be a little bit of a hothead, but that's the type of competitor that you love to see. There's obviously some history with Buehler taking us down in the NLCS in last year's playoffs. Unfortunately, the bullpen stepped up with Buehler ejected from the game, and, you know, we got shut out. Mets fall 2-0 in the second game. Freaking 3rd loss in a row. Things are not looking good at this point. Mets were in desperate need of a win to salvage one game in the series in Game 3. And who's on the mound? Tyler McGill, the big drip, baby. He was pitching, and this guy's been cold for a few starts now, but he came out absolutely on fire. 9 strikeouts in the first 4 innings. Looks relatively untouchable, and this is the Jekyll and Hyde that we see with McGill, where he can be really outstanding for certain stretches, and then he can really fall apart quickly. But yeah, in the top of the second inning, Brett Baty comes up and rips a single to center, scoring Mark Vientos. Luis Torrens gets thrown out at the dish, but the Mets go up 1-0. Big production from Baty. In the fourth, as soon as we were really falling in love with what Big Drip was doing, he got into some serious trouble. Gives up an infield single to Eric Sogard, then another infield single to Carlos Narvaez. Yes, he is related to Narvaez, our Mets catcher from previous seasons. And then Tyler McGill hits Ceddanne Rafaela to load the bases. From there, a name that I've said just a number of times already, Jarren Duran hits a sac fly to right, scoring Sogar. And unfortunately, Big Drip gets pulled. In comes Huáscar Brazoban. Bases are loaded. It really, really does not look good. This could completely, fall apart very, very quickly. Brazoban steps up in a massive way. Full count, and he strikes out Alex Bregman to escape the inning. From there, Huáscar Brazoban goes 2 1/3 innings out of the bullpen with 4 strikeouts. This guy has been a freaking godsend for the Mets. Brazoban is now 3-0 on the season with a .90. No, that's not incorrect. .90 ERA on the season, and a save thrown in there for good measure. He's been our best reliever, shockingly, of the entire unit, and truthfully, he has been one of the best relievers in all of baseball up to this point. So, that trade at last year's deadline is looking really good. Really big acquisition, and I'm really excited to see if he can keep this up. In the 7th, Brett Baty steps up again and scorches a single, which bounces off the green monster to left, scoring Tyrone Taylor and Luis Torrens. And the Mets, just as soon as things looked very dark, take a 3-1 lead. The team, you could see, just kind of exhaled with that Baty hit, started to get a little bit comfortable and felt like they could breathe again. Juan Soto follows up with a sac fly to center, scoring Luis Angel Acuna. And in the 9th, Francisco Lindor hits a towering bomb over the green monster, and the Mets win the final game of the series 5-1. Just massive to get that last game. Hopefully the offense that we saw start to come alive in the second half of that final game can, continue, because it had been just a power outage, no success with runners in scoring position, and they really absolutely needed to win that game. If they had just gotten swept by the Red Sox with the upcoming schedule, they would be in a world of trouble. So on to our Yeah Baby! And we're going to actually change it this week to Yeah Baty! Brett Baty, man. Since April 23rd, when he hit that big home run off of Zach Wheeler and the Phillies, Brett has a .921 OPS with 5 dingers and 12 RBIs while playing a masterful defensive third base. With the way that we have seen Vientos have a lot of blunders on those infield singles, a ball went through his mitt the other day. I think it's safe to say Brett Baty is the answer at third. Moving forward, really strong defender, really good upside, man. He hits the ball really hard, and I've been really hard on him all season. So it's really nice to see Baty step up. He's a guy that everyone's been rooting for, and I'm really hoping he can be comfortable and produce offensively, because if he's in the back half of that lineup and he's producing and delivering power, that makes our lineup a hell of a lot more deep. So, yeah, Baty. For the behave portion of the program, we're not going with a Met. We're actually going with a fan base. The Yankees fan base, man. Between Bob Clappish and Michael Kay and just the fan base overall, and the way that they've been piling up on Juan Soto, creating false narratives of him flying on a private plane separately with his family and not flying with the team. Some reports about him putting on weight and being depressed. Guys, he's not batting under 200 right now. He has been struggling. He's not playing up to his career norms. And yeah, he looked at some balls down the pipe the other day, and people are giving him just a ton of shit. That I think if he was on another team, none of this conversation would be going on. I know Mets fans personally are not freaking out as much as this overall narrative, and it's become kind of a national story. We've seen Carlos Beltran come to New York and struggle in his first year. We've seen Mike Piazza come up and get some boos when he was acquired. We have seen Francisco Lindor giving the thumbs down to the fans. It feels like that almost never happened with the way he's become a cult hero. But guys, give Soto a little bit of a break here. It's still May. I think I've heard some insane stuff from buddies saying, we should trade Soto. And it's all Yankees fans saying all this garbage. So, guys, worry about yourselves. And I'm sure by the end of the season you'll look up and his batting average and his numbers will end up being significantly better than they are right now. And look, this guy's like 26, 27 years old. We've got him for a long time. He's supremely talented. He's struggled before with the Padres. And, look, there's a lot of pressure getting paid that much. But look, as Mets fans, all we care about is winning ball games. And we're 10 games over right now. So Yankees fans, behave. Who are we playing next? Struggling and losing back-to-back series, and we get greeted by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Damn it. The Dodgers are 31-19 on the season, and they're doing this with an insane amount of pitching talent that's on the IL, not even healthy. On the IL right now, Blake Snell, Kirby Yates, Blake Trinan, Tyler Glasnow, Roki Sasaki, all these guys are on the shelf. This might be a hot take, but I truly do think that if all of those guys were in a rotation, all these injured Dodgers were in a healthy rotation right now, they might be the best staff in all of baseball. So they're doing this without their pitching. How is that happening? Their offense is freaking insane, man. They are never out of a game. Shohei Ohtani, modern-day Babe Ruth, he's batting .304 on the season with an MLB leading 17 homers. Freddie Freeman looks to be finally healthy. He is going ballistic, man. He's batting .368 with 9 homers, 34 RBIs, and a 1.087 OPS. He's on fire. I'm terrified of him. He's been a Met killer forever, and he's an everyone killer. He's just unbelievable. Mookie Betts with a respectable 8 homers and 30 RBIs himself. Their offense is a wagon. So if we're up after 5 innings, after 6 innings, after 7 innings, no lead is safe with these guys. But I will say, we do have solid advantages with the pitching matchups this weekend. Thank the Lord we miss out on Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who has been one of the best pitchers in baseball thus far for the Dodgers. In Game 1, Griffin Canning, our boy, he's 5-1 with a 2.47 ERA on the season. It is crazy to think that after he was one of the worst starters in baseball last year for the Angels. We are facing off against the legend Clayton Kershaw, who is 0-0 with an 11.25 ERA on the season. Now, look, that's not representative of anything. He has only had one start, which came this week, where he gave up 5 runs over 4 innings. Kershaw is, an absolute legend, and you have to trust that he's going to continue to be solid as he has been forever. So we'll see. We'll see if we can take advantage before he's, fine-tuned his stuff and get some runs off of him. But Canning has been unbelievable. He gave up 2 runs over 5 1/3 against the Yankees for our only win of that series. Canning has cemented his spot in this rotation. Once Manaea and Montas are back, I think McGill's got to be the guy on the chopping block at this moment, if not somebody else, because this guy's been absolutely disgusting, extremely crafty, and the pitching lab has worked. So hopefully we can steal that one at Citi Field. Then from there in Game 2, we've got David Peterson, who is 2-2 with a 2.86 ERA on the season, versus Tony Gonsolin, who's 2-0 with that 4.05 ERA on the year. Peterson gave up 1 earned run over 6 innings against the Yankees, and he's been solid all season. This is a big test for him. We will see how he responds to this lineup, and it is a major challenge. I'm not going to lie. It's a major challenge. So we're going to need to produce and get some runs off of Gonsolin, who's got that ERA over 4. On to the series finale, which I am extremely excited about. As far as a litmus test, we have got the Ghost Fork slinging king, Kodai Senga, who is 4-3 with a 1.43 ERA, as I mentioned earlier on the season, going up against Landon Knack, who is 2-1 with a 6.17 ERA. Basically, only on the Dodgers can you have a winning record with a 6+ ERA. But yeah, Senga had his worst start of the season so far in his last one out against the Red Sox, giving up those 3 earned runs over 6. Hopefully he can bounce back, man. Hopefully the home cooking will work for him. Really going to be a great test. We saw how he struggled in the playoffs against the Dodgers last year. He wasn't healthy at all. So we'll see. It's a crazy, crazy deep lineup, but I am so stoked to watch this series. Unfortunately, none of the games are going to have Gary, Keith, and Ron. They're all going to be nationally televised, whether that's on Apple TV, Fox, etc. So, the country's going to be watching this matchup. It's the biggest series across baseball for the weekend, over this Memorial Day weekend, and I'm really hoping we can step up. Now, for some news and notes, down on the farm type updates, Ronnie Mauricio, God, it's good to see this guy back healthy and playing, but he's got homers in his past 2 games for the Syracuse Mets after he was just brought up to AAA. I would like to think that he'll be up on the big league club within the next week. We need a spark offensively, and this guy is an absolute fireball. He's got some Ellie De La Cruz in him. He's just a big guy, great power, incredible tools. He doesn't have maybe the best eye at the plate, but he's going to hit some absolute moonshots and hit the ball hard as hell and play good defense, and I think he can be a huge spark for us. So we'll keep our eyes on Mauricio over the course of the next few weeks. And from a pitching perspective, man, Nolan McLean, he threw 6 shutout innings for the Syracuse Mets, bringing his ERA down to a 2 flat in 3 starts for Syracuse. I think it's safe to say this guy may very well be our top pitching prospect now, ahead of Brandon Sproat, ahead of Christian Scott, ahead of Jonah Tong. His stuff is insane the way it moves. If you look at some of these pitching ninja videos, he's ridiculous, and he is rising incredibly quickly. So really excited to see McLean, and hopefully he'll be up with the club at some point this season, if not next. But let's get back to home cooking, guys, where the Mets are an MLB best 17-5 at Citi Field. Let's steal one from these juggernaut Dodgers. Guys, please go follow, go support where you can on Spotify, on YouTube. We got the TikTok up and running, baby. Go show some support, and I had to hop back on the 1s and 2s, man. We got to get hot again, and it seems like my pods typically can get the guys hot, so let's get on a nice run. Let's show the world what we're made of, and let's try to take 2 out of 3 from these dangerous, dangerous Dodgers. Signing off, as always, folks, Mets, get it on!